afternoon. This is author Tim Brown of the book Boys Won't Be Boys. And I am blessed today to have with me my sixth grade teacher, Mr. Clayton Burroughs. Uh, and part of the reason I wrote the book was really because of the influence that Mr. Burroughs had on my life as a young man, going from being on a common path to an uncommon path. And I still vividly remember the day when Mr. Burroughs walked into our classroom. It was in the middle of the year. Poor Mr. Fonte, we had just ran him out the room, And I remember when Mr. Burroughs walked in, I saw an African American man. I saw a black man that I wanted to be like. Mr. Burroughs had what we call today swag. He was way ahead of his time with that. He had that walk, he had that talk. And I share with young people all the time. A lot of time a boy will see a man about 12, 13 years old, and he'll see a man and he say, I want to be just like that man. And then he'll spend the rest of his life trying to be like that man. And that's me. That's me. I'm living proof of that. So, Mr. Burroughs, you want to kind of talk a little bit about just how did you feel? How was that for you coming into our classroom?
Well, I think I have to go back and give you a perspective. Mm-hmm. I was raised with 7 siblings, and my mom often had us to play school. So you had to learn each other's personality, behaviors, attitude, and how they communicated with each other. That was a carryover from in my life with that experience with my mom. And then there was an additional carryover when I attended Wilberforce University and dialoguing with other colleagues of color, my color. And when we were in our classrooms, we had to role play a lot of positions, role play how kids will respond to certain behaviors and attitudes, again, that kids may experience. So I was able to bring that back to the city of East Cleveland and to my first teaching assignment. I did my student teaching at Prospect Elementary School, and I was received so well that the superintendent said, I have a problem at Chambers Elementary School, and I want you to go down there and observe to see if you wanted to be hired for that position. So when I pulled up in the driveway, the windows was up, and I heard all this yelling and screaming. And let me go back with Mr. Brown's, or Coach Brown indicated that I had swagger. I was driving a green 1968 Cougar, brand new. And I was able to get that because I worked at Ford Motor Company and I learned how to save my money as I moved on in life. However, walking up those stairs, I heard nothing but a lot of noise, yelling, screaming, sit down, shut up. I just walked in and stood at the door and just turned my head from right to left. And I knew that I wanted to be there as well. And I think that I said to the students, I said, listen, I'll see you Monday morning. And all this is gonna go out those windows. I came in Monday morning, you couldn't hear a pin drop. And that was the starting point of giving me an idea of how to deal with those situations that were occurring in the classroom. But one thing I can always remember, Mr. Fonte said to me, well, they'll run you out of here soon. I just shook my head. I looked at him, and the next day, that Monday, I was in there, and I was a classroom teacher. And for 32 consecutive years, I worked in the city of East Cleveland in different buildings and throughout the district. I took the same attitude that I learned from my mom in playing and role playing with my brothers and sisters.
What was those qualities? Why didn't we run you out? Why you say, why didn't we run you out? What was different? What do you think was different? Because I can tell you what was different for me, but what do you think was different?
Well, remember, I come from an athletic background.
Mm-hmm.
I was always the captain of the team or the person that's choosing up a team. And you learn how to have tough skin on the basketball court or racing up and down the streets from pole to pole or shoveling snow when you're struggling to help your parents put food in your siblings' mouths. So my skin was thick, and it wasn't about running me out. I figured the kids would be ran out before I go anywhere. And I remember um, uh, telling a professional colleague of mine, and we were talking about superintendents. And like I told him, I'll outlive and outlast any superintendent in the district. And I went through 5.
Right, right.
So I proved my point.
Yeah.
I'm a classroom teacher, always a classroom teacher, always had a lot of love and respect for my students and their families. And to this day, they're still part of my extended family.
Yeah. I think that was the main thing when you just hit on. For me, it was we had a family now. You created
Mm-hmm.
that family atmosphere where we're all in this together, that we're all going to succeed. That was the thing I remember the most, that everybody's going to be excellent. I don't care who you are, you're going to be excellent. You're going to do well. I was one of those kids sitting in the back, I wasn't one of those making all that noise. I can tell you that. I was one of them staying out the way, my head down, just, and I'm sorry, I was just doing enough to get by. I was just a C student, staying out the way, not getting in trouble. But when you walked in that room, and I saw, the excellence, I said, I know I can do more. And you pulled more out of me. And you talk about that green Cougar. When I share with people all the time, I talk about that car, and I share it this way. Every day I walked down to Chambers Elementary School and I saw that green Cougar, I knew Mr. Burroughs was there. It was going to be a good day. No matter what I had to deal with at home that night, what was going on in the house. But when I walked down the street to that school and I saw that green Cougar, I said, Mr. Burroughs is here. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day because you created that family type atmosphere. And let me go one step up further. Can you speak to the fact, not only how did you involve parents? Because my mother loved you. I mean, my mother just loves some Mr. Burroughs.
Well, you involve parents by being available. And I was always available for my students before school, after school. I think that I wrote the word excellent across the board, that every student had to reach those expectations of being excellent. And what did it take to be an excellent person within yourself? Hard work, a good attitude, and willing to accept criticism. And I think that helped not only transform your thinking, but all the rest of the students' thinking. Those students who were on a struggling plane, they were provided with the extra help in the morning. I used to have a group called the Burroughs 7. People used to come into our classrooms and visit, want to see my teaching style and all that. And they had a habit of asking the kids who's the smartest in the classroom. And I sit down with my kids and I told them, if anybody comes through this door and want to know who the smartest is, everybody in this room, you put your hand up because everybody is smart. It's how you bring out their talents. And that was my goal, again, in making sure that all my kids achieve. How do parents get involved when they see that you're involved with their kids and you care? Believe me, they will get involved. There was nothing that my parents would not do to help support their students in my classroom. We had an open door policy, and I remember we had the clown on the door. You remember that? says we work first and play later.
They later, yes.
Yeah, and that's exactly what my students bought into. We work,
Right,
teamwork,
right.
partners working together.
Mhm.
I mean, we did so many creative and advanced things back during the day where it allowed kids to develop that confidence within themselves.
The other thing I admired about you, Ms. Burroughs, was your involvement in the community as well. Not only did we see you in the classroom, but I remember those days at Chambers Elementary School watching you. And here's my teacher out here playing basketball, trying to hang with the young guys, and just being involved in the community as well. And I think that was a linchpin that really hooked everybody, because we looked at you not just as we respected you as a teacher, but then we got to see you were just a human being as well, you know, that you're just a man, and I think for young boys, it's important for them to see older men as just men, not that intimidating, threatening figure. So, oh, here comes Mr. Burroughs, we better straighten up or whatever. But no, you out there playing with us, cheating on every game, making sure that you win, and that whole captain thing, you stacking the teams, all those kind of things, were just so important to me. And I have so many fond memories, of you. I tell you, one was football. I think my senior year, I was the manager, and junior, senior, you were the football coach. And now we've gone full circle, that here's my sixth grade teacher, and here he is out here on the football field being a coach. And I remember this well at the football banquet. I was a manager, so I was a 4-year manager. And I remember Mrs. Shelby didn't give me my award. You gave it to me.
Right.
You gave it to me. And I remember those words, how you talked about the commitment, of a young man, a senior, who's out here doing these kind of things, not playing the game, but being the manager, taking care of you guys. And I remember that well, and the impact that had on me. And I'm sure you've done that for a lot of others. But what is that inside of you that drove you to be able to encourage young people?
Well, let's go back a little bit. I always had some game. I was one of the captains of my college basketball team, so I had some game and I had some swagger, and I had a jump shot.
Yeah, jump shot. I give you that. Yeah, jump shot.
And that's what the kids, used to love. If I make a
Too.
shot,
Left-handed.
they would go wild.
Crazy.
And what I tried to do was teach kids through the leadership that I received how to become part of a team. And you had to play different roles in being on a team, and that's what we did in our classroom. We had teams in our classrooms, and every team was different, but every team was able to achieve the same common goal. So those are one of my advantages in keeping everybody engaged, including the families. If I had to call a parent about something that their kid was doing wrong, or even if they were doing something right, I used to call the parents and say, hey, so-and-so is in my classroom, and this is what they did well today. The parents was not accustomed to receiving that kind of feedback. One of the things Coach Shelby and I talked about, well, who was going to give the manager's award? And I said, Coach Shelby, I'm going to give the management award. Simply because of the fact was managers keep your team together, because they're the ones, when kids get hurt, they have to go to. And therefore, there has to be a sense of understanding, a sense of caring for the next human being. And that's what I saw in you. You always had that ability to care. Your mom was the same way. Not only did she care about the kids in my classroom, but she cared about things in the community, and she stayed engaged and involved within the community, her church, and whatever. I used to come, visit your churches and things like that, where my kids were going on Sundays during that time. I became part of their extended family, the same as they became part of mine. And a little anecdote I just want to add here. I used to tell them, if I see you doing something wrong, if you're standing on the corner, if I'm walking with a crooked cane, I'm going to tap you on your foot with it, let you know you out of pocket.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just wanted to add that anecdote.
Oh yeah, that's that whole, and that's where I use that. That's where a lot of what I do I got from you, and that's that teacher for life. You know,
That's right.
that I'm your teacher for life. You know, and if I see you doing something, whatever, I'm gonna tap you or whatever. You know, I'm gonna say something to you. But I had to earn that respect, and you earned that by you would discipline us or get on, but it was all out of love. And
Right.
we knew it was out of love. We knew it was out of love. So what would you say to some young African American males, some black male teachers now? How do they establish those things in today's, because times are truly different. Even with parents, with dealing with young people, it's just a different today, how do they establish those things? What are some of those things that they can do to establish those kind of relationships today?
Well, first of all, I think if a young black male is going into education today, I think that they should attend an HBCU
Hmm.
school. That's where you're going to get the proper nurturing from and the guidance to transfer those skills to youngsters once you uh, either you're in high school, middle school, or elementary school. You have to care about kids and you have to care about yourself
Hmm.
in order to change your climate. If you think you can go in and be just like a kid, act like a kid, dress like a kid, that doesn't get it. You have to go to work every day in a professional manner.
Hmm.
I don't mean a suit and tie, but nice slacks, nice shirt, not coming to work slouching. Uh, you know, uh, the way I have seen some things in my life from black males. You can't listen to the criticism out here is that, oh, you don't make any money being a teacher. Uh, when I used to speak to young professionals, one thing about education, you may not get rich, but you won't live out of a brown paper bag.
Amen.
So they have to understand that you go into education because you care about other people and you want to see them become as successful or better than you as a person.
Hmm. That's good. Yeah, and I can once again attest to that comment there. When you look at today's world, let's flip it to the side of young black men, young black
Mm-hmm.
boys. How would you encourage them? Talk to them about the value of education and what that can do for them.
Mm-hmm. Well, one, you have to go back when you're in your pre-teens and you have to be able to listen and respect what your parents are suggesting or saying to you. And again, that goes back to having respect for yourself. If you think that you are as grown as a parent, then you have another thing coming. You're not. You have to grow and mature through different cycles to reach a pinnacle in your life to want to achieve. And you have to understand you don't achieve by yourself. You achieve by understanding your history. Where did I come from? Where did my family come from? And pass that on. To give you another example, I look at my family, I look at all my brothers and sisters playing house. Everybody has from a BA, BS degree to a PhD, my brothers and sisters. I am extremely proud of that. And it has been passed down to my nephews and nieces. All of them, they have BS, BA degrees, PhDs, lieutenant colonels in the United States Air Force, in the Navy, a commander in the family in the Navy, and other that have reached. Education is great to use as a stepping stone to move forward. I'm tired of seeing our young boys out here thinking that they are a movie star
Mhm.
doing something that is negative instead of putting that positive energy into learning how to read, to write, to spell, to communicate effectively. I don't know if you recall how I used to have you all to keep your journals about your 8 parts of speech, your participial phrases, your preposition, 88 prepositions. We would have tests on, so you know how to use those in your communication. And one thing that I admire about Clark Kellogg, and I don't like singling my students out, is that he mastered the language, to communicate effectively with other people and to utilize his creative ability in explaining different situations. I admire that. Wayne Dawson that's on the TV news and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I can name our kids who are doing positive things because they mastered how to communicate effectively. They mastered how to stay out of trouble.
Yes. Could you talk about you've talked a lot about your family.
Mm-hmm.
How important, can you speak to these young men and men that are listening, how important is the family name and protecting the family name? Because that Burroughs family was well respected in East Cleveland. Not just you, but when you say that last name, when you say Burroughs, there's something, there was no but behind it. You know, that Burroughs family, but them guys is just but there was no but behind it. It was all positive. But can you speak to that, how important the family name is?
Well, my mom raised 7 of us, as I said at the beginning. And she had a big stick behind her door. And she had rules and she had regulations. And everybody knew Claire's family, from the postman to the bus stop to anybody else up and down the street. But the police didn't know our name because we never got in any trouble. Okay, we did our government, don't get me wrong. But we never got in any kind of trouble whatsoever. And throughout the city of East Cleveland, my mom became the first Black booster president in the East Cleveland City Schools. My sister was the first Black May Queen of Shaw High School, and I don't think they had another one after that. So again, the name was resonated and even greater recognized once I had come back and decided I was going to spend the rest of my teaching career in the city of East Cleveland. And being an athlete, playing football at Shaw High School, I had 3 brothers to follow behind, 2 brothers to follow behind me. You know, one of my brothers, my youngest brother, called the Deacon, Tim Burroughs, University of Louisville All-American defensive end and things like that. And he came back and to East Cleveland as well, and he became the housing director. So again, the name was continuously to be heard out there in the community. And he was known as fair, accurate, and persistent in making sure that the neighborhood stayed in a decent condition back there. And I believe that was 20 years ago or maybe, but we realize things have changed now. But I also have hope that one day Brother Brandon King will help turn that city around.
Lastly, as we wrap up, what would you want the legacy of Mr. Clayton Burroughs to be in East Cleveland? What is your legacy? What is that you're leaving? What is that legacy?
I think my legacy is that all of my kids who have come through Room 15 knew that I loved them, I cared about them, and they will always be mine. I will always be their teacher, no matter what happens. I will always be there as their teacher. And that would be my legacy that I would leave to all of my students.
Yeah, that's a great one. Well, thank you for turning around room 15. And I count it an honor and a privilege to be that first class, and we're gonna claim that. We're not letting that go. We started you on your legacy. Yeah,
That's right.
And you did a lot of practice on us. You
That's
practiced
correct.
all those things you learned. You brought it right in that room when you came in that first Monday morning. It was game on.
Right. That's right.
It didn't
That's
end
right.
and it's still game on for us. And so I speak for all those students who you've impacted. And I just want to say thank you for being the man that you are. Thank you for being that kind, considerate man. And thank you for being a man of excellence, even to this day.
And thank you.
We're still trying to be like Mr. Burroughs.
Now, remember, I taught your sister too.
Oh, yeah. Cookie. For sure. She remembers as well. All right. Well, thanks again, Mr. Burroughs. I appreciate you being a part of this, and continued blessings to you and your family.